Oh, look at the furniture upgrade. Are we taller? It feels like it. One fine summer morning, you took in what had become a very special scene. The whole family having a meal together. Whoa, whoa, this is... Oh. Your big sister Liz still hadn't lived at home full time for a couple of years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. She wanted to make sure she was in town because you now also graduated high school, so who knew how much rarer these moments would become in the future. You watched on as Liz laughed good-naturedly over a comment Mom made. Her Elizabeth-only mindset had only been a phase. Nearly any nickname was welcomed at this point in her life. Strangely enough, though, she moved away. You always felt closer to her than you had in a long time. You idly scooped up more of your breakfast and chewed absentmindedly. You were a vegetarian, you were vegan, you were a pescatarian, you were a proletarian. You were a picky eater. You generally ate whatever. What's a proletarian? Excuse me? Proletarian? What the heck is that? Eats poultry but not red meat or pork products. What a sad life. Just eat what you want, man. But I am a picky eater. You were a picky eater. And the meal you had reflected that. Your moms were happy to make food that fit your needs, along with dishes for themselves that didn't though. You often made your own food nowadays. That is so nice of them. Because I swear my parents were like, we just make what we want. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, whatever. But it wasn't only you who had a diet that excluded certain things, as Liz had been a vegetarian for a while. Conversations has gone on idly without you fully taking the words until your ears were peaked when Ma started. Oh, they're getting older. No. Your ears were peaked when Ma started on a bit of a town gossip. And so that's how I heard the news. Oh, look at, I see your wedding ring. Alright, now stop bearing the lead and tell us what it is this so-called news. Ma giggled as she cast a look across the table, satisfied that she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out the Donalds won't be retenting at the condo up the street as per Sunset Bird tradition for the first time in what must be nearly 2 decades. A chorus of gasps and shock expressions were had all around after the initial shock. Your eyebrows pinched. Ma may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 25 who crossed their paths. Your mom continued on with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did so. They've decided not to take big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their homes. That's nice for them, and then have a good summer, me grandparents with no grandkids away from us. That's a relief. It's kind of sad they can't travel anymore. I hope they're still okay, even if they aren't mean. My thoughts exactly, Liz. Finally, they can piss off. You didn't have any comments on that development. Wait, what did Liz say? And that's nice for them. Have a good summer, mean grandparents with no grandkids away from us. Kind of confused by that statement. I just say that's a relief. Be nice, kids. You don't have to end up like them, do you? You don't want to end up like them, do you? You and your sister cracked smiles at the joke. At least they won't be here to yell at my children anymore. And that blunt comment got laughter from all three of you, engrossed in conversation once more. You continued to chat with your family until the meal was over. Oh yeah, I guess Ma's not dyeing her hair purple anymore. Step 3. Third time's a charm. Third time's charm. As it went, once the food was eaten, the cleanup had to be done. Liz took the role of washing the dishes and passed them to you for drying and putting away. You had set up cups in front of you that needed to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. It was effortless to do. You were very tall. It was a task. You had to stretch, but it was doable. You were an average height. It was a struggle to get them up without a stepping stool. You were short. A stepping stool was mandatory for you. You were very short. Wait, what did the exact thing was? You had a set of cups in front of you that need to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. I wouldn't say it's usually a struggle for me, but I am short, so I guess I'll pick that one. That was simply your lot in life. You had always been vertically challenged. Not the first time I've heard that. You felt great about how things were. You hoped you might still grow more. You wish you had stopped growing earlier. You didn't think about it much. You didn't even know what to think about it. I feel great. Actually, you wish you had stopped growing early. Honestly, yeah. That was a struggle for you because you remembered how you used to feel so content about it when you were younger. Liz shook you out of your internal musing by starting up an impromptu conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that had been buzzing around in her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty intimidating. You think after the first year or two I'd have handled on things, but no. You stole a glance at her, still placing cups in the proper place. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes, and year one of my architecture major was the basics. Oh, she's in architecture. Now it feels serious. I have to actually know some things. The laugh she gave was full, lamply airy, but the way she scrubbed at the place held more force than necessary. I know you can handle it. I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. That does sound hard. You simply shrugged. You merely listened to her venting. I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. Don't be too impressed yet. Wait and see if it actually happens, but thanks. Your eldest's mouth corked into a small smile. It'll be fine one way or another. Oh, but I'm not trying to scare you away from college. That's even your plan. What is going on with that anyway? You've had a solid set for a long time. You came to a firm conclusion recently. You had kind of a general. You had absolutely no idea. You hadn't even let yourself think about it. It was too much. Yeah, I think when I got to this stage in life, I had absolutely no idea. You answered the question as much as you were able and willing to. Liz's smile grew more reassuring as you did. You made it through 12 years of full-time education already. You've got plenty going for you. Sometimes it felt hard to believe your public schooling experience was over. In the end, you had graduated at the top of class, you soared through with high marks. You had to work extremely hard, but you were rewarded with great grades. You had been an average graduate. You struggled to reach the benchmark, but made it. You didn't try hard, but made it regardless. I'd go with this one. Yeah. And you were going to miss it, and you felt satisfied leaving off there. And you wish it could have gone better, and you were just glad it was truly behind you. I definitely missed it. I still miss it. Even if it had been difficult, it was familiar and fulfilling part of your life. Liz picked up on the silence her questioning ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement on the topic.
You're a good girl.
Do what's best for you, and we'll be here to back it up. Thanks, Liz. At that, Liz happily passed the final dish your way. She waved a soapy, soaked hand as a farewell and moved on to her next task for the cleanup job. You refocused on getting the last pieces put back where they belonged. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. We have a cell phone now, I say as I'm looking at my phone. It was the phone's default ring. You had a silly novelty ring as a ringtone. You set one from the most beloved songs as your ringtone. The phone was set to just vibrate. See, at this stage, because I know in high school, I always put my phone on vibrate because you kind of just had to. Because if you ever like put it on sound and then just forgot and you were in school and it rang, you were in big trouble. And then I think eventually as I more got out of high school, I just was like, oh yeah, I should turn the vibrate off when needed. The phone was just set to vibrate. You casually picked it up from the table where you had placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years old at this point, having been a 16th birthday gift from your parents. Different times. I think I got my first phone in 8th grade. I think I was like 13, 14 begging for it like crazy because everyone else had a phone, so I had to have a phone. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was I remember I picked a blue phone. I had the 5C. And it was just a phone. You didn't do anything to decorate it. It had a special charm attached to it. I mean, I have a case. It was just a phone. You didn't do anything to decorate it. The screen lit up. As you gave the little device a swipe with one finger, you were informed by the caller ID that it was Lee. You weren't surprised. So having busier and busier lives and not living in the same town, you still had a good relationship with your cousin of the same age. Especially once the miracle of the both of you having your own phones actually happened. She got hers first, though. Tapping at the accept button, you answered her call. A familiar, bubbly voice came through right after.
Hi.
Hiya. I trust I'm not interrupting anything major. Only some cleaning around the house. Oh, then you're welcome for my call. A distraction from that must have been desperately needed. Yes, thank you, my dear cousin. Hey, I love doing chores, you joked. I like cleaning, you protested earnestly. It's good to hear from you. Even though she couldn't see it, you shook your head at that. Oh, look at that. We got a Samsung phone. Loser. Hey, I love doing chores, you joked.
Right?
Of course you wouldn't. She giggled, and you couldn't hear the jangling of the jewelry she must be wearing. Nothing amazing is happening for me either. I'm bored and felt like chatting. My morning shift ended, so I'm free for the rest of the day. Woo! That's good. You're off from your part-time job today. You hadn't started working anywhere yet, so you couldn't relate. Unlike you, Lee had started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It made keeping in touch frequently even more complicated, but you both managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal.
Cool.
That's you then. So, how's Mr. Cove Holden doing? There was a teasing vent in her tone. She was never willing to let up on what was going on between the two of you. But that name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next door neighbor for the past decade at this point. The two of you are close, that was all you can think on it. He was your best friend, at least. You hadn't admitted you felt more than just that. He was an important friend, but you secretly hoped he'd tell you he felt more than that. He was someone you had affection for, but you didn't want to take the relationship further. But he was far more than just someone who lived on the same street. He was your boy. I can just say that? Wow, that's weird. That's weird I can just pick that option. But I'm not a forward person at all. He was an important friend, but you secretly hoped he'd tell you he felt more than that. Yeah, he gotta make the first move, because I cannot. Ko was so special to you. You could only dream that it was mutual. You knew you wouldn't be able to tell him that, though. Maybe he would take the plunge. Are you even surviving without the boy being 10 feet away at all times? Or is everything right with the world again and he's back? No, Lee, he isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday, or the last time you asked, or the time before that. Why isn't he here?
Sorry.
Aw, my bad. Can you blame me? Doesn't it seem like he should have made his grand return already? Plus, I want to visit soon, and he needs to be there too. You can understand where she's coming from. So certainly outside the norm. The past couple months, and the last few weeks especially, Cove had been going to his mom's place in Nevada. The two of you still regularly stayed in contact over texts and calls, but still, your mind began to drift back in time to all the prior trips he'd taken to visit her. Almost every year he'd have to go away for a while, and then he'd be back. It made you sad and lonely when it happened. You never minded it. It was kind of nice to have breaks away from each other. You weren't a fan, but made it do. It was just shitty. It upset you, your younger self, worried about him leaving for good. Yeah, I'd go with the first one. It made you sad and lonely when it happened. You sent him letters the entire time he was away. Your mom helped you ship out care packages. You gave him special treasures to take with him before he left. You kept an eye on his house for him while he wasn't there. You weren't capable of doing anything until he was back. That's a bit much. I'd probably give him special treasure to take with him before he left. Some were just borrow, and others were for him to keep forever. He sent you letters while there in return. That's how it was in the past, but lately he had been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state became too impractical to do. His part-time work could become full-time soon, or he could be moving somewhere else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear what his plans were after graduation. Cove was hesitant to speak on that, even with you. It couldn't be avoided forever, though you both knew that. But maybe we should switch this up to a non-Cove related topic. Is there a way for me to change my looks here, actually? No. Is there really not? I guess so. Sounds like a plan. The rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer, though. Lee had to go, and you needed to finish your responsibilities around the house. Both of you exchanged goodbyes, then you went back to what you'd been working on before the call came in. As you wrapped up the last of your chores, you were approached by Liz, wearing a cheeky smile. I've got Mom's keys. Want to get out of this tiny town to do some shopping in a real city? That sounds great.
Good.
I'm driving. That was obvious. You didn't know how to drive. You were glad for that. You still had a learner's permit, even though you could drive too. It was her plan. She could do it if she wanted. It was nice for her to do that. Get a license, but tried to avoid driving when possible. I like driving. I think I had my license. Yeah, I for sure had my license when I graduated. Go get your wallet and anything else. We're going now. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from your bedroom. You had money saved from your gifts you'd received. After making sure you both were fully prepared for the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride there, with light conversations about what shop to shop at and the radio blasting. The trip there breezed by, and what felt like no time, you had gone from cruising down the road to cruising through the mall. Liz had her interests to check out, and you yours. Your hobbies and skills were still the ones you developed when you were younger. You had gone into new things since you'd grown up. Nah, it's the same. When turning a corner down a new length of the mall, your eyes caught on a little gift store. Your friends and family had recently given you many presents for graduating high school.